we've heard that the PPP is the Grinch of Guyana and that we want to steal Christmas and the season of goodwill from the people of the country. We heard it in the budget debate from the Honorable Member Joseph Harman, and then we heard it from the Prime Minister today. And the Prime Minister sought to explain in a great length how we got to this date. So the Honorable Prime Minister said, one, that the clerk wrote us informing about the dates for the motion, and that we can suspend the standing order, the government could suspend the standing order if it desires the motion to be debated in the middle of the budget. Point number two, the Prime Minister made the case that the budget is so important, and given that the clerk had written about the exigencies of government's business, that the budget had to be approved before the motion could have been debated. And then the Honorable Prime Minister said that when he moved the motion to adjourn the House to the 21st of December, we did not object. But Mr. Speaker, after this issue came up in the public domain, I also made a public statement that should the government want to defer the debate on this motion to next year, we in the People's Progressive Party would not have had an objection. All that it would have necessitated, Mr. Speaker, was a letter from the government to the clerk postponing this session of the Parliament. And this government has not postponed Parliament in the past, even when we had a sitting. Just recently, November 16th, we all showed up here. You, Mr. Speaker, were here. All of us were waiting for the government, and there was a no-show. So they could have, but the Honorable Prime Minister made a public statement, bring it on. We are afraid of debating the motion, and therefore the debates will continue on this day. Mr. Speaker, if there is any Grinch, if the Grinch or any Grinch, if the Grinch are all on that side, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Prime Minister said that this motion is motivated by personal issues. And then he went on to say that some members on this side are facing criminal charges. So they're hoping that if this motion were to pass here and we have to go back to elections, then the charges will disappear. But we can also look at the converse, Mr. Speaker, to say that this government wants to hang on in office because it is afraid of that eventuality, that the government changes and that many people on that side will face criminal charges. In fact, we have already heard about 5 private criminal charges that were instituted against ministers of this government, and how they were withdrawn, null pros by the DPP, and the Honorable Attorney General boasting in the public domain that he influenced that, the withdrawal of the charges. Mr. Speaker, we imagine from the opposition benches, we can find evidence of large-scale corruption against this government.
I started a point of order. Article 48. You have to sit The honorable members have written a proper motive to Honorable Attorney General.
This honorable Prime
I instruct the Chief of Law.
Honorable Attorney General.
Yes, please, Mr. Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition imputed a proper motive to me in my office, suggested that I influence the DPP. He must, a constitutional officer, he must take an action that he withdraws that, and that he apologizes.
The Attorney General is saying that conduct which at best is improper, at worst is interference with judicial issue. Now, unless we can substantiate it, I would advise you to withdraw it and proceed.
Mr. Speaker, he said that the Honorable Attorney General said that I imputed that he made this statement in office. I don't know where he was physically. I think it was at a press conference. But I am sure that he made this statement and it was reporting in the newspapers. I do not have the newspapers on me, Mr. Speaker. So for the purpose of not distracting me from the debate, I will withdraw the statement here, but I urge Guyanese to go and find the relevant newspapers and you will see what I mean. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Prime Minister also spoke about the manifesto being policy intentions and how, as though they have no meaning to the people of Guyana. So, Mr. Speaker, there are enormous amount of promises made in that manifesto. They secure people's vote on the basis of those promises that they made to all the people of Guyana. Now this government wants to distance itself from the promises because it has failed so miserably as addressing those promises. On the other hand, Mr. Speaker, the point has been made already by our side that they did not make some other promises that they hurriedly address. They did not tell people they were going to increase their salaries by a massive amount. They did not say that housing allowances would be increased. They did not speak about the per diem to ministers being increased. They did not speak about the other perks, vehicles and public assistance who earn large sums of money being given to ministers. Mr. Speaker, they found time to address those issues, but the manifesto promises are promises to be fulfilled in the distant future. They have no relevance today. I thought the Honorable Prime Minister would have pointed out and defended the diminished role that he now plays in this government in contravention of the promises made in the manifesto, and that he would have sought today to say that this government has acted in a manner where they have not treated him and others with respect.